Welcome to Universe Beyond. I am the guide for this infinite journey. Tonight, we delve into the unseen stories woven into the very fabric of time and space. In the beginning of inquiry, there is a small, precise terror that lives at the edge of knowledge, and it has a shape. It is the shape of information that a civilization was never meant to hold, and yet discovered by the patient arithmetic of curiosity. Across light years and eons, minds rise and translate the universe into equations, and those equations sometimes whisper warnings in their own quiet language. When measurement meets an anomaly, the anomaly is not merely a failure of calculation, it becomes a fissure in narrative, a place where stories end and something stranger begins. Imagine a society that learns to read the cosmic microwave background not as a fossil of birth but as a cipher containing a slow, deliberate pattern. They trace subtleties in anisotropy until the pattern resolves into a motif that cannot be dismissed as noise, and their instruments yield a new ontology. Precision gives them access to correlations deeper than random quantum fluctuations, and these correlations betray a layering beneath spacetime itself. What is the cost when a community tears open the veil and finds the scaffolding beneath reality? The first symptom is a modest triumph, celebrated by equations and conferences, then an uncompromising paranoia about reproducibility, and finally an expansion of metaphors into technologies of interrogation. They invent devices to map gravitational waveforms with an intimacy that approaches listening to the heartbeat of the cosmos, and those hearts sometimes do not belong to anything they imagine. A signal appears, coherent across multiple detectors, bearing not a voice but a topology, an imprint of curvature that refuses classical interpretation. The mathematicians name it with careful notation, the physicists whisper its invariance, and artists begin to paint with the hue of forbidden constants. Entropy, once a companion in thermodynamic tales, becomes a ledger of lost meanings, and the civilization measures not only heat and disorder but the erosion of semantic stability. Their models predict cascading decoherence events, epochs when superpositions collapse not into classical states but into alternative grammars of existence. Engineering achieves miracles of control, and yet control reveals a horizon beyond which causality frays like silk under wind. They name that horizon with a word borrowed from an older, humbler lexicon, and the word tastes like ash on the tongue of inquiry. Alien geometries begin to insinuate themselves into architecture and software, not as ornament but as directives that reshape probability distributions. Communication arrays begin to decode patterns in dark matter halos, reading the subtle modulations in rotational curves as if they were a script written in gravitational dialects. The polity fashions responses that are elegant and terrible, attempting to negotiate with constraints that are not sentient in any recognizable way but nevertheless impose consequences. What does it mean to bargain with the syntax of reality itself? At first the outcomes are incremental and curious, improvements in energy conversion, glimpses of instantaneous computation across entangled nodes, modest miracles that feed the imagination of a hopeful public. Then the surprises grow monumental, spontaneous emergence of correlated phenomena across independent laboratories, synchronized fluctuations that betray an external coherence. Religious movements arise that read the patterns as revelation, and scientific institutions fracture as consensus fails to hold under unprecedented empirical pressure. Trust erodes into factions, and factionalism becomes the crucible in which the civilization forges its final strategies. Some propose containment, others propose camouflage, and a smaller, secretive cadre suggests a radical experiment to alter the coupling constants they have discovered in the fabric of their cosmos. That experiment is precise, beautiful, and irreversible, executed with a ceremonial calm that the public mistakes for mastery. The device manipulates vacuum expectation values over a region the size of a continent, coaxing a local reconfiguration of boundary conditions that no human textbook had considered ethically or practically permissible. When the field is engaged, clocks stutter and the spectrum of background radiation flinches as if the universe itself is adjusting its breath. Responses are not immediate in human terms, and so rumor grows in the vacuum between observation and consequence. Observers record inexplicable time dilations near the experiment, and stars within a measured radius exhibit minute but accelerating redshift anomalies. History bends in the data logs, earlier timestamps are corrected, then corrected again, narratives unspool and reweave themselves into forms that are subtly different from memory. Minds strained by the calibration of paradox begin to fail at the seams, not from disease but from the cognitive strain of holding inconsistent stitched realities in a single coherent life. In the end, the civilization fragments into survivors who remember variant pasts and children who inherit a syntax of wonder and terror without the vocabulary to name either. Their monuments are oblique, built to align with constraints they no longer fully understand, and songs become lilting catalogues of anomalies rather than celebrations of life. Some seek solace in retreat, abandoning instruments for the slow logic of stars, while others press on, driven by the same curiosity that seeded their undoing. Is the appetite for knowledge a flame that inevitably consumes the hand that feeds it, or can wisdom temper that hunger into a stewardship that survives across epochs? We who listen to these stories from afar must be neither smug nor complacent, for discovery carries moral weight as inexorable as gravity. The lesson is not a simple admonition to stop looking, but an invitation to consider thresholds, to design inquiry with humility and with rituals that honor ignorance as its own kind of guardian. If a universe contains mechanisms that punish certain lines of questioning, we must learn to recognize those thresholds with mathematics and with legend, with laboratories and with silence in proper measure. To proceed without such measures is to flirt with cosmic authorship that we are not yet literate enough to edit cleanly. Remember then this paradox as you chart futures of exploration and invention: knowledge can be a shelter and it can be a blade. The civilizations that flourish are those that balance curiosity with restraint, that compose their discoveries into practices rather than proclamations, that treat anomaly as teacher rather than oracle. When you look up at the black lacquer of night and see the faint smear of the Hubble flow, recall that the cosmos is generous and indifferent at once, offering questions that are beautiful and sometimes perilous. Thank you for watching Universe Beyond. Please subscribe to our channel and give us a like.